Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that affects millions theft. We're not just talking about someone swiping your wallet, we're going way deeper than that. We're gonna unlock the psychology behind stealing, figure out what makes these folks tick, and most importantly, give you the tools to spot a thief before they even make a move. You see, knowledge is power, and in this case, it could be the difference between holding on to your hard-earned belongings and becoming another victim. We're gonna peel back the layers, expose the red flags, and give you real-world strategies to protect yourself. So buckle up, get ready to get real, and let's get started. Now let's talk about identity theft. It's a growing problem, folks, and it can turn your life upside down. One minute you're living your life, paying your bills, and the next thing you know, you're getting calls from debt collectors about accounts you never opened. That's a huge red flag. Think about it. Why would a debt collector be calling you if you don't owe any money? It just doesn't make sense. If you start getting these calls out of the blue, don't ignore them. Don't just brush it off. Something's fishy, and you need to get to the bottom of it. Start by asking the debt collector for more information. What's the account number? Who's the original creditor? Get all the details you can. Then, pull your credit report. You can get a free one every year from each of the 3 major credit bureaus. Check it carefully for any accounts you don't recognize. If you see anything suspicious, report it to the credit bureaus and the Federal Trade Commission immediately. Identity theft is a serious crime, and you need to take steps to protect yourself. Don't wait until it's too late. Have you ever gotten one of those emails or letters saying there's been a data breach? You know, the kind that says your personal information have been compromised? Let me tell you something, folks. That's not a time to just hit delete and move on with your day. These breaches are a big deal. Hackers get their hands on your information, your name, address, credit card numbers, even your social security number, and they can sell it on the dark web to the highest bidder. That's like handing a thief the keys to your kingdom, so what do you do? First, don't panic. Take a deep breath and read the notification carefully. Find out what information was compromised and what steps the company is taking to mitigate the damage. Change your passwords immediately, especially for any accounts that use the compromised information. And for crying out loud, start monitoring your accounts like a hawk. Look for any unauthorized charges or suspicious activity. Remember, knowledge is power, and in this case, it could save you a world of hurt. Now let's talk about employee theft. It's a problem that plagues businesses of all sizes, and it can be tough to spot. But let me tell you something. If you're running a business, you need to be on the lookout for unusual cash discrepancies. If your cash register is consistently short at the end of the day, or if you're noticing large sums of money disappearing without explanation, that's a major red flag. Don't just write it off as a mistake or an accounting error. Something's not right, and you need to get to the bottom of it. Start by reviewing your cash handling procedures. Are there any loopholes that could be exploited? Are your employees properly trained on how to handle cash? Are you reconciling your cash drawer regularly? These are all critical questions you need to ask. And if you suspect that an employee is stealing from you, don't hesitate to take action. Gather your evidence, confront the employee, and if necessary, involve the authorities. Theft is a serious offense, and you can't afford to let it slide. Let's talk about inventory shrinkage. Now, every business owner knows that a little bit of shrinkage is normal. Things get broken, lost, or even walk out the door. But when you start seeing a pattern of missing merchandise or supplies, it's time to put your detective hat on. Maybe you're in retail, and certain items keep flying off the shelves without being rung up. Or maybe you're in manufacturing, and you're noticing a steady decline in raw materials. Whatever the case, don't ignore it. This is your bottom line we're talking about. First things first. Tighten up your inventory control. Make sure you have a system in place to track what's coming in and what's going out. And don't just rely on technology. Get your hands dirty, do some physical inventory counts, and compare those numbers to your records. If you see discrepancies, it's time to dig deeper. Review your security footage, check employee bags and lockers, and talk to your staff. Remember, the sooner you catch a thief, the less damage they can do. We all know that some folks are night owls, right? But when it comes to employee theft, those unusual working hours can be a telltale sign that something's not right. Now, I'm not saying that everyone who works late is up to no good. But if you've got an employee who's suddenly pulling all-nighters or coming in on their days off without a really good reason, it might be time to raise an eyebrow. Think about it. If someone's trying to pull a fast one, They're more likely to do it when they think nobody's watching, right? So they might volunteer for the late shift, or they might conveniently forget to clock out at the end of their shift. Now, I'm not saying you should be suspicious of every employee who works overtime, but if you notice a pattern of unusual behavior, coupled with other red flags, it's worth investigating. Talk to your managers, review your timekeeping records, and see if there's a legitimate reason for these off-hours work habits. Let's talk about another sign of potential employee theft: poor work performance. Now, we all have our off days, right? But when a once reliable employee starts dropping the ball, missing deadlines, and making careless mistakes, it could be a sign that something's eating at them. Guilt can be a powerful motivator, folks. And if someone's stealing from you, that guilt can manifest itself in their work. They might be distracted, withdrawn, or even downright careless, because they're living in fear of getting caught. Now, I'm not saying that every employee who's struggling is a thief, but if you notice a sudden and unexplained decline in performance, it's worth having a conversation. Maybe there are personal issues at play, or maybe they're just burned out, but it's also possible that there's something more sinister going on. You know, one of the most telling signs that something's off with an employee is a change in their attitude. When someone who used to be engaged and enthusiastic suddenly becomes apathetic and withdrawn, it's a red flag that something's up. Maybe they used to be a star performer, always going the extra mile, but now they're just going through the motions, doing the bare minimum to get by. They've lost interest in their work, they're constantly complaining, and they just don't seem to care anymore. Now, this kind of behavior can be a sign of burnout, personal problems, or a whole host of other issues. But it can also be a sign that an employee is disengaged because they're involved in something they know is wrong. If you notice a once valued employee suddenly acting like they'd rather be anywhere else, it's time to have a conversation. Find out what's going on in their life, what's causing them stress, and whether there's anything you can do to help. Now let's shift gears and talk about a different kind of thief, the kleptomaniac. Kleptomania is a mental health disorder that causes people to steal things, even when they don't need them and can afford to pay for them. It's not about the stuff, folks, it's about the rush. People with kleptomania feel an irresistible urge to steal. They know it's wrong, they know they could get in trouble, but they just can't help themselves. It's like an addiction, and the act of stealing gives them a temporary sense of relief or pleasure. Now, kleptomania is a serious condition that requires professional help. If you think you or someone you know might be struggling with kleptomania, please reach out to a mental health professional. There is help available, and with the right treatment, people with kleptomania can learn to manage their impulses and live productive lives. Let's dive a little deeper into the symptoms of kleptomania. Remember, this is a mental health disorder, and it's characterized by a specific pattern of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And one of the most common signs is the emotional roller coaster that precedes and follows the act of stealing. People with kleptomania often experience intense tension, anxiety, or even arousal before they steal. It's like a buildup of pressure that they can only relieve by giving in to their compulsion. They might feel restless, agitated, or even physically uncomfortable until they act on their urge. But once they've stolen something, they often experience a wave of relief, pleasure, or even euphoria. It's like a weight has been lifted off their shoulders and they feel a sense of satisfaction or accomplishment. However, this feeling is usually short-lived, and it's often followed by guilt, shame, and remorse. Now here's the thing about kleptomania, it's a vicious cycle. The more people with this disorder give in to their compulsions, the stronger those compulsions become. It's like a muscle that gets stronger with each use, and the guilt and shame that often follow the act of stealing can actually make the urge to steal even stronger. It's like people with kleptomania are trying to punish themselves or numb their emotional pain by engaging in this destructive behavior. But here's the good news. Kleptomania is treatable. With the right combination of therapy, medication, and support, people with this disorder can learn to break free from the cycle of compulsion and live healthy, fulfilling lives. If you or someone you know is struggling with kleptomania, please know that you're not alone. There is hope, there is help, and there is a way out. Reach out to a mental health professional today and start the journey toward recovery. Well, folks, we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about the psychology of theft, the signs to watch out for, and the importance of protecting yourself. Remember, knowledge is power, and the more you know about the tactics thieves use, the better equipped you'll be to spot them and protect yourself. Whether it's identity theft, employee theft, or even kleptomania, the key is to be aware, be vigilant, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Trust your gut, follow your instincts, and if something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content. Stay aware and stay safe.